Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of RAU'S IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates.
Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 5th of May 2021 which are put up for today's discussion are listed on your screen and the timestamping for the same is given in the description box. So let us start with the first article itself.
Well, before going into the video itself, there's an important announcement. If you are confused about which optional subject to choose, how to find the best teachers and academic support for your optional papers, and above all, how to prepare for the same during difficult times, well, look no further. RAU'S IAS has best solution for your optional subjects and related problems. We are conducting optional orientation session on 22nd and 29th May 2021, in which you can learn from RAU'S IAS teachers about how to prepare for optional subject and how are we going to help you in scoring best in the mains examination. Optional batches are starting from 4th June and 5th July 2021 via live online classes. Consider this as a call to all those who wish to completely cover the optional subject by December this year. This will ensure timely coverage of optional paper, optional subjects, and then you can focus on your attention towards the prelims right from the January next year. And also keep revising the optional subjects till you appear for the mains examination. RAU'S IAS is offering guidance for political science, public administration, history, sociology, geography, economics, and psychology from their centers at Delhi, Jaipur, and Bangalore. In the description of this video, there's a link which you can use to register yourself for the orientation program for the respective subject sessions. So the first article for today's discussion is related to the recent announcement made by the central government. Government of India has allowed or has given nod for 5G trials in India. What does this mean? It means that now companies or the telecom service providers can conduct trials in order to roll out the 5G technologies in India. However, the news article also says that Chinese tech giants or those telecom companies which belong to China have been left out in this kind of proposal. As far as this article is concerned, it is important for your prelims examination where UPSC can ask questions on the 5G technologies. For mains examination, it can ask questions on the application of 5Gs and their benefits in various sectors. Take for example, UPSC can ask you questions that what is the relevance of 5G related telephone services as far as agricultural growth in India is concerned. It can also be asked in the questions related to the science and technologies, economy, security, and many other related issues, including the disaster management. In previous years, UPSC have asked questions related to the day-to-day technologies, including the 4G technologies, technologies related to the OLED screens, technologies related to the CDs, DVDs, and many other things, including the Internet of Things. So we have taken a sample question here. It was asked in 2019 regarding the difference between LTE and voice over LTE. The question was simple that if you are just well aware of what 3G is, as you are a consumer of 3G, you can easily odd one out or you can eliminate or you can use the elimination method in order to find the right answer. The first statement says that LTE is commonly marketed as a 3G or voice over LTE is commonly marketed as advanced 3G. So if you are actually using a 4G technology right now, if you are using a 4G phone right now, you must have seen voice over LTE or VoLTE as one of the symbol right above your mobile phone screen. So if you know that, you can easily eliminate this. The second option says that LTE is data only technology and VoLTE is voice only technology. Now assume this. If you are taking first statement to be correct, although it is incorrect, if you are taking this to be correct, then how can a 3G technology be voice only? If you are having a 3G technology, it is obvious, a common man can also rule that out, that a 3G technology can help you to transfer data. Then why it is talking for voice only technologies? So this is how it makes it a wrong statement. So the answer is option D. Coming back to the article itself. Department of the Telecommunications gave permission to the telecom service provider, also known as TSPs, to conduct trials for the use and application of 5G technology in India. The more in the news or this article says that Chinese firms such as Huawei and ZTE have been kept outside from this formal order. So this is a formal order from the government. Government has as of now provided this kind of trials to 4 different companies, although it is not relevant who these companies are or what are the names of those companies. But there is important announcement that rural and the semi-urban areas will also be taken up for the trials. Although it has not been confirmed by now that whether these areas will have 5G technologies in the future, but technological trial will be undertaken in these areas. Now these are some basic ideas behind the benefits of 5G or fifth generation technology in the world. Now 5G simply means that there will be an upgradation of a data transfer of up to 20 Gbps. Now Gbps simply means gigabyte per second, which is very high. If you are going to have that amount of peak speed, it would be tremendous. But beyond that, there are many other aspects as well. And these aspects include that there will be 10 times faster the speed of data transfer. It also means that there will be decrease in the latency. So those who have no background in this area, for them latency, or in layman language latency, means that delay in data transfer. So it can be as low as 1 milliseconds. Now you can imagine the delay in data transfer. So you can download your videos, you can watch your videos on YouTube instantly at the highest possible resolution. This is what 5G is all about. The next is that it will provide 10 times faster connection density. Connection density means at a particular network, at a particular area, there can be more amount or more number of mobile connections which can run, and each of them can run at a higher data transfer. So this also means that the number of connections will be denser with the 5G technology. The next being that it will provide 10 times the peak uniformity in the network itself. It will provide 3 times faster efficiency because achieving even more bits per hertz with advanced antenna techniques. It means that the available spectrum to the companies can be utilized for more number of networks, including the higher speed of that network. The next one being that it would provide 100 times faster the traffic capacity. Now understand this through a different example. Suppose that there is a 2-lane highway between 2 different cities. So this one, on this side you have Delhi, on the other side you have Mumbai. Now on one side you can go in this direction, on the other side you can go in this direction. And as of now, at a single point of time, only one vehicle can travel in a single lane. It means if any of these vehicles is damaged on the road, it will cause a huge and long drawn traffic jam, and the same is applicable here, or this is what you were observing during 2G or 3G technology. However, what we have done through 5G is that we have increased the number of lanes in a particular direction. Now instead of having a 2-lane road or a 2-lane highway, now what we have under 5G is we are having a 6-lane expressway. Now assume that all those cars which were running in the single lane are now running in the different lanes. Apart from that, we are now also having more other cars which are running in those lanes. What it has done, it has reduced the traffic jams, it has increased the density, it has increased the number of cars, and top of all, it has also increased the speed of those cars running on a particular expressway. And this is what similarly we are observing in the 5G technology as well, where density is high, network speed is high, there is low latency as well. And lastly, we see, of course, because all the above points, what we are going to have, we will have network efficiency. So call drops, falling in the network, or getting hanged in your data transfer will not be there under the 5G technologies. Now let us look into the benefits of 5G technology which we can avail in the near future. The first being that we will be able to download data at a faster or a heavier speed, and including the 8K videos and games. Now those who do not know what is 8K, understand this with a simple example. The video which you are watching right now has a maximum resolution of 720p. It simply means that on the screen which you are watching it right now, there is a resolution or a pixels which says 1280 into 720p taken by the breadth of a resolution screen. So here what you are watching is 720p. If you want to watch this in the low resolution, you can go for 480p, 360p, 240p and as low as 96p. The lower you go in the resolution, the quality of the image which you are watching right now will go on decreasing. You can see this through the setting button on your YouTube screen. The resolution will go downside and the image quality will also reduce as you go in the lower direction. 720 simply means that you are watching a HD resolution. 480 means you were watching at SD or standard definition. HD means high definition. If you go beyond this, you will find that the resolution will rise up to 1080p. This is your FHD or full high definition resolution. So in the place of 720, what you will have is 1080. As this has increased, this will also increase. So with all this discussion, we now come to a point that what is 8K? Well, 8K means the resolution of your screen can go as high as 7680 into 4320 pixels on your screen. Now you can imagine how large or how clear this image is going to be. Now when you have such a high level of image quality, it is obvious that you are going to consume more and more amount of data. For that, what you require higher and faster speed of your data connection. For that, 5G can benefit you. So this will enable 4K movies and video streamings as well as games. 5G can provide a backbone to the emerging technologies including your industrial revolution, Internet of Things, robotics, cloud computing and many other. It can also provide support to tele services including the telesurgery, real-time data analytics and many others. And lastly, it can also help activities like driverless vehicles, machine-to-machine communications and related concepts. There are some apprehensions which are attached to the 5G technologies and their rollout in India as well. First being that telecom partners or telecom service providers like Bharti Airtel and Vodafone have expressed that there is very high reserve price as far as auction is concerned and they won't be able to pay that kind of high prices. Apart from that, besides the spectrum, 5G will also require a fundamental change to the core architecture of communication system in India and that require a huge amount of physical and monetary investment. One of the report for 5G technology has stated that industry might require an additional investment of 60 to 70 billion dollars to seamlessly implement the 5G technologies and above all there is a necessity to increase the kind of investment in these sectors. But the real issue arises that as of now the telecom service providers are facing many kind of issues and problems in this sector because they have already been indebted with the low level of tariffs and high level of competition. 5G technologies have been appreciated across the globe. As per the OECD or the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, a committee was organized on the digital economic policy. This committee has stated that the 5G technologies rollout will help in increasing the GDP. So this will also help Indian GDP to increase further. It will create employment in the economy because this will provide a different incentive to the infrastructure, both physically and the monetary based, and it will also push up the service sector. And lastly, it will help in digitizing the economy, including the e-education, e-medicines, e-services, and whatnot. As per one of the high-level forum on 5G in India 2020, 5G provides an opportunity for industry to reach out to global markets and consumers to gain the economic of scale. Economic of scale means producing more given the limited resources in the most efficient manner. Previously, the Union Cabinet in India has approved a national digital communication policy 2018. So UPSC can ask, they have been asking, so they can also ask such kind of policies in your mains examination. There are very rare chance that UPSC will ask about a particular policy in the prelims, but for mains they have this tradition. So apart from this policy, they have also redesignated the telecom communication as Digital Communications Commission. The objective of this policy were very simple. First being that we are aspiring to provide broadband to all in the country, including both urban and the rural centers. It is also envisaging for creating 4 million additional jobs in the digital communications sector. It is also providing for enhancing the contribution of digital communication sector to 8% of India's GDP from the current 6%. It is also aspiring for propelling India to be on the top 50 nations as far as ICT Development Index of ITU from the 134 in 2017. What is ITU? It is International Telecommunication Union, and it is one of the important international organizations which is working in the telecommunication field, including the rolling out and expansion of digital network and supporting the nations in order to do that. Next in the policy is enhancing India's contribution to the global value chains, and lastly ensuring the digital sovereignty. This is a very important and key word as far as international data transfer, data localization and data security is concerned. With this, now we move on to the next article. The next article in the discussion lineup is related to the international affairs and international geopolitics. In the recent years, what we have been observing is that India has been shifting or tilting towards the Western countries, including those of the OECD. This article is related to the recent initiative or the recent idea which was put forward by the G7 countries and their member representatives. The G7 has seek common front on China. So what this article says, that the members of the G7 are actually aspiring to bring out a common front or a platform where they can deal with the rising aggressiveness of China in the geopolitics. The context of the article says that group of 7 or G7 nations are trying to form a common front towards the rising China, or it is also an outcome of what commonly known as, or a keyword in the geopolitics parlance, that is xenophobia or sinocentrism. Although you will not find these kind of words in the normal day-to-day books or magazines, these are the keywords which are used in different articles in the past also. So you can quote these kind of words in your mains answer writing. The background of the article says US President Joe Biden has called for a deeper alliance of democracies. So democracies here simply means all those countries which are working under the democratic setup of politics. They also include India, South Korea and Australia. And to your notice, these are the 3 nations which have also been called up for more participation in the G7 meetings. Nations here means the G7 nations have raised their voice against the Chinese act on Uyghurs. Uyghurs is a kind of race which are found in the western section of China, closer to Kashmir in India. They've also raised voices against the Chinese clampdown against the civil rights movement in Hong Kong. These nations are not actually trying to have a conflict with China. So this meeting does not mean that they are creating a kind of defense bloc in order to beat China or in order to defeat China in a war. Although they just want to ensure that China follow the rule-based order in the politics. You must have read about, or you must have seen about in the previous discussions in the DNS about China's role in South China Sea, what they have been doing there, what is their aggressive stance, how they are violating the maritime sovereignty of different countries, including the Vietnam and the Philippines. So what these nations are aspiring? Well, they are trying to find out a constructive way to work with China in a sensible and positive manner. So through these diplomatic routes, through this kind of discussions, they want to create a platform, they want to create an environment where they can say and deal with China in a positive manner without creating any kind of security issues at the global level. Previously, United Kingdom and the Prime Minister of this nation has invited the Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi as a guest to attend the 47th. Now you can imagine how old this organization is. At the 47th G7 summit that is scheduled to be held in June 2021. Now, going beyond the article itself, now let us see what is the basis of Group of 7 or G7 nations all about. Well, this group was created in 1975. It is a type of intergovernmental organization. Now, why I'm saying a type of organization? Well, there are multiple types of organizations which are present at the global level. You can see there are voluntary organizations, there are military organizations, and of course, there are regional organizations. For first one, we have the best examples such as World Wildlife Fund for nature. For secondly, we have organizations like NATO. For third one, we have organizations like RCEP. In regional organizations, mostly we see examples of trade blocs. There are many other categories of organizations as you can see. As far as intergovernmental organization is concerned, UN is the best example at international level which has been under the intergovernmental organization or intergovernmental initiative. The headquarter of G7, well, to the surprise, there is no such headquarters this grouping has. G7 does not have a formal constitution or a fixed headquarter. The member of this group in the alphabetical includes Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and US. However, representatives of European Union are also part of this discussion. Well, going beyond this discussion, I would like to ask you one simple question. You can comment the answer in the comment box that which nation was part of this grouping but it is no longer the member. Please comment in the comment box the answer of this question. The objective of this grouping is very simple, to discuss issues of common interest. Now, this is the basic objective. It is not a trading bloc, it is not a military bloc, it is not a voluntary organization. It's an intergovernment organization. All the 7 members, the group or the head of the state like president, vice president or the prime minister, they meet together annually and they discuss global economic governance, international security issues and energy policy. To your point, this organization is not working under the United Nations. It's an independent organization. It's an independent group. As far as G7 and India is concerned, there are certain benefits if in the future India becomes a member of G7. The benefits include that it would help India to gain major role in the larger geopolitics of the world and expand its role in Indo-Pacific. What India is trying to do is India is trying to find a larger place in Indo-Pacific as far as security, economic concern and exploration is concerned. So India is trying to have a better role and larger role in the Indo-Pacific or the Indian Ocean specifically for its own benefits. It could also help India to gain a permanent seat in the United Security Council because as of these members, many of them are permanent member to the Security Council, while others like Japan, like India, is aspiring to have a permanent seat. However, there are concerns as well. India is going towards the Western powers, could create a power disbalance in Asia because the other major power in Asia, including Russia and China, are not at all at good and cordial relations with the Western nations, including US. This would also lead to the deterioration of India's relation to China and Russia. So, going closer by the US or going into defense alliances with the US, as you can see in the case of Quad, has actually irritated many nations and most importantly, the China. With this, now we move on to the next article. This article is related to a recent upheaval which was seen in the case of microfinance institutions and the credit crunch, including the issue of debt faced by them. Microfinance institutions have flagged rural borrowers' distress to RBI. So, rural borrowers are the majority customers of MFIs and they are under the distress because of the pandemic. This topic is relevant for your prelim examination, including the facts and trend of MFIs, what they are, including the definitions and their components. For mains perspective, this issue could be asked regarding the MFIs and their relevance in the Indian economy, especially the rural economy. The context of the article says that because of falling lendings from the microfinance institutions in the rural areas because of the pandemic in the country has actually impacted the rural household more than the previous year. So the situation in the current year is far more severe than what it had been in the previous year when the pandemic was actually taking place in the country. The MFIs or the microfinance institutions representative have asked the central bank, that is the Reserve Bank of India, to grant forbearance for the borrowers, that is the rural borrowers, and provide some kind of flexibilities to the institutions as well. Now, the question arises is what are MFIs, why we need them, some basic details and background on that. And we will take them one by one. The first question is why do we need MFIs in India? Well, India is a country which lack financial inclusion for the poor. The second being that it will meet up the demands of the vulnerable sections, including women, children, old age, transgenders, people with disability, and many others. It will also help the MSMEs or micro, small, and mini enterprises for their day to day needs. For example, a small pickle manufacturing unit or a small micro food processing unit may require a small amount of fund in order to improve upon their packaging. So they can approach MFIs for that needs. And lastly, MFIs can also help in the development of rural areas in India. MFIs in India mostly act as NGOs or a registered society or as a trust under Section 25 of companies and as non-banking finance companies. Previously, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh was credited with laying the foundation of modern MFIs with the establishment of Grameen Bank in Bangladesh in the year 1976. So Muhammad Yunus was a pioneer who came up with this idea and actually revolutionized MFIs and small saving instruments in Bangladesh. Going by the definitions of MFIs, these are those institutions which have microfinance as a main operation. Institution here means they are working as a separate entity. MFIs cannot be run by a single individuals. So it is not a kind of a business as such. MFIs are regulated by RBI. So this is the key word. This can be asked as a factual question in your prelims. As per the RBI guidelines, MFIs is defined as a non-deposit taking NBFC. What is NBFC? Non-banking finance companies. And they fulfill the following conditions. So these are the following conditions which should be met in order to create or in order to start an MFI. The minimum net owned funds of 5 crore rupees. For NBFC MFIs registered in the northeastern, it is as low as 2 crore rupees. And the second condition is that not less than 85% of its loan are the nature of qualifying assets. Now, what are these qualifying assets? Let us see in the following discussion. The qualifying assets shall mean a loan which satisfy the following conditions. Now, all these conditions which are mentioned here should be satisfied in order to qualify 85% of the lendings under the MFIs. The loans disbursed by the NBFC MFI to a borrower with a rural household income or annual income less than 1.25 lakh. So any rural household whose annual income, irrespective whether there is one person earning or the entire family is earning, should be less than 1.25 lakh. It simply means that they should be earning around 10,000 rupees per month. And if it is in the case of urban and semi-urban household, the income should be less than 2 lakh rupees. So they can provide loans to these kind of entities and could qualify for qualifying assets. The loan amount does not exceed in any case 1.25 lakh per borrower. So this is the maximum amount they can lend to a particular borrower. The loan extended without the collateral, so you need not to pay a collateral. So those students who are new and do not know what collateral is, it is a kind of an asset which you have to submit to a bank in order to avail a loan. For example, if you are buying a home loan from a bank, you have to put your legal papers or the property papers with the bank, and that property paper is nothing but a collateral. So in case you default on your loan, the property can be sold off by the bank. This is also known as mortgage functioning. The aggregate amount of loans given for income generation should be less than 50% of the total loan given by the MFI. So when an MFI is trying to give a loan in order to generate an income of a family or a particular person, for instance, providing them a kind of self-employment or a small business, that kind of loan should be least 50% of the total loans given. So if this year they have given a loan of 50 crore rupees, at least 25 crore rupees should be given for income generation schemes or income generation initiative. And lastly, a loan is repayable on weekly, fortnightly, monthly installment as per the choice of the borrower. Now, this is also a key word, choice of the borrower. It means the person who is taking the loan can have this choice to pay back on the weekly, fortnightly, or monthly installments about the loan they have actually taken up. So these are the 5 conditions that should be met in order to get a good qualifying asset status and become a part of NBFC MFIs. In India, microfinance institutions operate through 2 different channels. So these are the 2 different functionings or methods through which MFIs are working in India. First one being the self-help group and bank linkage program. Under this, bank-led microfinance channel was created and it was initiated by NABARD in 1992. What is NABARD? Well, NABARD is nothing but a national bank for agriculture and rural development. It was created in order to improve the rural condition and to provide rural development. Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, which is also functioning under NABARD, is a kind of fund in which all those amount of money which has not been lended under the priority sector initiative is deposited. The women in the villages are encouraged to form a group of around 10 to 15 people. The members contribute their savings in the group periodically, and from these savings, small loans are provided. So outsiders are not provided money out of it. The self-help groups are provided with bank loan generally to form income generation purposes. So this is a basic criteria for which loans are actually disbursed. The second route which is functioning in India is microfinance institution. Well, this is more like an organized sector. The first one was based on the self-help groups, small groupings, including small groups of women. They are collecting the money themselves, they are saving it for themselves, and in fact lending for the other members. So it is a simple case. Assume that there are 10 women, each of them have contributed 5,000 rupees that month. Together they have contributed 50,000 rupees, and one of the member is actually aspiring for a 50,000 rupees loan. So what they will do, they will provide that loan to that particular member of the group, and in all this process there will be a help provided by the external entity, and that external entity is nobody but the NABARD. In the second group, which is also the organized one, institutions which have microfinance as their main operations are known as MFIs. So these are the institutions which have basic function of lending in a small amount. Microfinance institution does not mean that you can go and take a car loan or you can go or take a home loan from them. What you will do, you will go there as a poor person and aspire for small loans up to 1.25 lakh for your basic purposes or even for starting a self-employed businesses. The mode through which these institutions lend money to the people or the borrower is joint liability group. Now what is this? Well, joint liability group is an informal group comprising 5 to 10 individual members who come together for the purpose of availing a bank loan either individually or through a group mechanism against a mutual guarantee. Now what happens in this? Understand that. There are 10 people and they want to start a small business, let's say a small restaurant around a highway. They are part of the rural economy, they want to open a small dhaba or a small highway restaurant. So what they do, they approach this MFI institution or this MFI organization, and they say that we are, as a group, as an informal group, want to have 1 lakh rupee of loan because we want to start a small dhaba on the highway, and they will provide a mutual guarantee that in case one of the member does not pay, the other would come up and repay the loan back to the MFI. So this is a kind of functioning which is available in this second type of mode in the economy. So these are the two modes through which funding is provided in India from MFIs. With this, now we move on to the last article for today, which is nothing but a add-on article where we take up a special scheme or a government scheme which has a possibility of being asked in the examination. So the last article for the day is related to an important scheme also known as Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. Well, this is a central sector scheme in which the entire functioning program, project formulation, and in fact the funding comes from the central government. Under this scheme, grant in aid would be provided at 50% for the general areas and 75% to the northeastern states. The implementing agency for this program would be the Ministry of Food Processing. So Kisan Sampada here does not mean that anything which is related to the crop production. So you should not confuse this with the crop production or any scheme where production of the crops and other related items are targeted. Here Kisan Sampada means farmers income, and Sampada here actually means income coming from food processing. So entire food processing chain, right from going out of the field to the consumer, the final consumer of a good, has an entire chain, and this chain is what government is targeting under this scheme. Well, there are different stages of processing. It includes primary processing, secondary processing, and in fact the tertiary processing. We will discuss this kind of processing and their distribution later on. Today we will concern ourselves towards this scheme only. The duration of this scheme was for about 5 years, including 2016 to 20, but this has now been extended further. The objective of the schemes are very simple. First, to supplement the agriculture, because once a farmer begin getting higher returns to their product, they will actually getting more income. It also targets modernization of processing and decrease the agriculture waste, because more of food is processed, the longer is the durability or longer is the shelf life. So it will also decrease the agricultural waste. Next is the creation of the modern infrastructure. Of course, the modern infrastructure include processing units, factories, packaging units, transportations, and whatnot. Next is the growth of food processing industry or the food processing sector. And last is providing better prices or the returns to the farmer. Assume this with a simple example. If a farmer has a choice to sell his potatoes or onions in the village market, and the same farmer has an option to sell it to a corporate entity. Of course, with a contract in hand, a farmer would earn higher returns if he sells his produce to the corporate entity. So ultimately, who will benefit from the food processing? The farmer or the actual producer? Well, these are the components of the Kisan Sampada scheme, and these are very important for your memorization as well as for your answer writing in the mains examination. And out of these, we will discuss mega food parks in more detail. Well, first is the mega food park, second is the integrated cold chain and value addition infrastructure, third is creation and expansion of food processing, preservation and capacities including the unit scheme. Also there is fourth, which is the infrastructure for agro processing clusters. It means cluster based approach, where we create clusters of small units or industries or maybe small firms which are functioning for a definite objective. Next is the human resource and the institutions. It includes training and capacity building. The sixth one is the food processing and quality assurance infrastructure. This is important for phytosanitary and sanitary measures as well as for the exports. And the last or the seventh one being the creation of backward and forward linkages For example, creating a transportation link from factory to the consumers. Among the 7 components, what we will focus is the mega food park scheme. Well, the objective of this scheme is very simple: to provide mechanism to link agricultural production to market by bringing together farmer, processor and the retailer. So these are the 3 entities which are associated as far as food processing is concerned, and this mega food parks would bring together these 3 entities under the same roof. The second objective is to ensure the maximization of value addition. Value addition will be created once the product is added into the food processing. Take for example, the value of raw potatoes in the market and the value of potato chips which you eat is far different to each other, and this is nothing but maximization of the value addition. So why not a farmer should benefit out of it? The second is minimizing the wastage, we have already discussed. Next is increasing farmers' income, and last is creating employment opportunities in the rural sector. Well, this scheme is based on the cluster approach. Cluster approach we have already discussed. Cluster approach functions in this manner, or hub or spoke manner, where different units are established for different purposes, although their objective remains centered to a specific location. And in this location, the entire functioning takes place and the final output is produced with a similar objective. It also envisages a well-defined processing zone containing state-of-the-art processing facilities with support infrastructure and well-established supply chain. The pattern of the assistance under this scheme is very simple. Government will provide one-time capital grant of 50% of the project cost, subjected to the maximum 50 crore. Well, this statement simply means the government can provide one-time maximum capital to a project which cost 100 crore rupees, because 50% of this is 50 crore, and this is the maximum limit government can provide. In hilly areas, this could went up to 75%. However, the assistance still remains at 50 crore. One more important aspect of this scheme or peripheral scheme is the recent announcement of a new scheme with the name Formalization of Microprocessing Enterprises. The difference between the previous Sampada and this one is that it is targeting the important factor of food processing, and which is the micro food processing. Well, as of now you are grown enough and you must have seen those small food processing units in around your houses, where you will see there are small floor meals or small floor firms which are providing decentralized food processing of wheat. So what government is thinking to provide them an initiative and opportunity to get formalized in the near future. This scheme is part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was initiated last year and it is still under process. The duration of the scheme is again 5 years, similar to that of the previous scheme of Sampada. The scheme actually adopts one district, one product approach. Now, in the comment box, I want you to reply or comment that which state in India was the first one to come up with one district, one product approach. Central government has adopted this for the national initiative also. Well, this approach is very simple. It says that every district in India has a unique approach in order to go for a specific product. For instance, we have guava in Savai Madhopur, Rajasthan. We have oranges in Nagpur. So these kind of specialization should be promoted under this one district one product program, and this will be undertaken in order to facilitate this formalization program. The state would identify the food products, so this freedom has been given to the state government for each district, keeping in view the existing clusters and availability of resources. So it is not a case that government will force Nagpur to produce apples. So whatever is the current situation, whatever is the existing organization or the clusters will be focused upon. The duration, as I've said, will be till 2025. And the key thing in this article is that this formalization scheme is a central sponsored On the other hand, PM Kisan Sampada was a central sector scheme. So this is the real difference between both, although both the schemes are targeting the food processing industry. So with now we end up to our today's discussion and we have arrived to the question of the day. The question on your left side is the question which was asked previously or which was asked yesterday. Well, answer to this question is your option B or 2 only. On the right you have question for the day for today. Read it carefully and answer in the comment box. So that's all guys for today. Thank you very much for being attentive and taking part in the discussion. Take good care of yourself. Stay safe. Work hard. Work smart. Bye for now.